Hey guys, in today's video we'll be looking at the 2015 MacBook Pro. This was and still is a very popular device, and we'll be looking into why so many people consider it to be one of Apple's best MacBooks. So personally, I've had my 13-inch 2015 MacBook Pro for about 4 years now. I've been using it non-stop every day at school and in university for about 4 years. So let's take a look at the 2015 MacBook Pro and see why a lot of people consider it to be the last great Apple MacBook. Let's start with the design. Apple introduced its aluminum unibody design in 2008, and I think they really perfected it in 2012 with this particular design revision. It has a pretty nice Retina display. The bezels are pretty big, but I think it still looks fine. The device itself is fairly light and thin, and it also was the last MacBook Pro to have the illuminated Apple logo on the back, which I think is pretty cool. I kind of miss in the newer MacBooks. Going down, you can see the keyboard, and this has the scissor switch keyboard that so many people enjoy. A lot of people call this the chiclet design. It has a good amount of travel, a pretty nice feeling keyboard in my opinion. Then going down from there, you'll see the trackpad. Everyone knows that Apple has probably the best trackpads on the market, and this one's no exception. The newer MacBooks actually have a much bigger trackpad, which is pretty nice, but this one is fine. It has all the multi-touch gestures and force touch, which is pretty cool. So also, this MacBook has ports, and that's a big reason why I've kept it all these years too. On the left side, you'll see it has MagSafe, which we'll get back to. 2 Thunderbolt ports, USB, and a headphone jack. And on the right side, it has another USB port, HDMI, and an SD card slot. An SD card slot is actually pretty useful too. So going back to MagSafe, MagSafe was a pretty ingenious design that Apple had for charging the device. It was magnetic, obviously, so if you tripped over the wire, it would just immediately unplug from the laptop. It wouldn't damage the cord or the laptop. It wouldn't pull it off a table, for example. I really miss this in Apple's newer laptops. Even though the newer MacBooks use USB-C, which it's nice because it's a standard port, MagSafe was pretty nice just because of these quality of life features that we all got used to. So we'll go into the specs, and obviously everyone's going to have different specs depending on their configuration. But my particular MacBook has a 2.7 GHz Intel Core i5 processor. This is dual core, 8 gigs of RAM, and also the Intel graphics. It still holds up pretty well for normal use, definitely. If you're a college student and you're not doing intensive work, for example, this is definitely still very usable. I'll show you the Geekbench scores here on the screen. And as you can see, the newer MacBooks far exceed it, but you can't really tell in normal use. I'll show you here in the video my MacBook powering a 2K display. As you can see, everything's really smooth, no slowdowns, no lag. I use this display pretty often, so it's powering a ton of pixels, and things work fine. So as you can see, in 2020, it's still a very usable laptop. I'm sure the newest MacBook Pros are a little bit faster for more intensive tasks, but even editing videos and light photo editing should be perfectly fine on the 2015 MacBook Pro. So I really do think there's 2 reasons why people are keeping these 2015 MacBook Pros. The first reason is that really they're just very usable 5 years later in 2020. They have a lot of the features that you would want, from a lot of ports to good performance. But the second reason is that since 2015, the MacBook Pros haven't really gotten better. Actually, in a lot of ways, they've gotten worse. Back in 2015, the MacBook line was pretty different. This MacBook Pro received its last spec update after the design was introduced in 2012. The MacBook Air design was iconic, but it was beginning to show its age, especially because it had no Retina display. And Apple's new laptop in the MacBook line was the 12-inch MacBook, a tiny, ultra-portable, netbook-like design, which had a Retina display, but only had one USB-C port. And it also had Apple's new Butterfly keyboard, which caused a lot of problems down the line. That keyboard from the 12-inch MacBook became the standard keyboard across the entire MacBook line, And if you've been online, you've seen people complaining about stuck, broken keys, causing people to just avoid the butterfly keyboard MacBooks as long as possible. And rightfully so. Apple had to set up a keyboard repair program for all the butterfly keyboard Macs, infamously offering a free keyboard repair on the same day that a MacBook Pro was released. So that's pretty weird. That USB-C port situation on Apple's tiny 12-inch MacBook became the norm across the entire MacBook line as well. All the new MacBooks only have USB-C, which is fine for some users, but obviously not for everyone, considering how many dongles are being sold on the market right now. So really, what's next for the MacBook line? We do love the 2015 MacBook Pro, but we probably can't keep it forever. It probably has a few more years left in it though. In my opinion, things are starting to look a bit better for the MacBook line. So Apple released the 16-inch MacBook Pro with the scissor keyboards, and also the 13-inch MacBook Air was updated with the scissor keyboards as well, so that's one more thing not to hate about the newer MacBooks. Dongles, they're getting cheaper, and USB-C devices are getting more common. There's some flash drives that are relatively cheap now that use USB-C. And I would guess that the 13-inch MacBook Pro will be upgraded with the scissor keyboard as well. So maybe within the next couple months we'll see a worthy successor to the 13-inch MacBook Pro. I hope so, but for now, we can just enjoy our 2015 MacBook Pro. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I really like this MacBook, so I just wanted to talk about it a bit. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.